Discipline, but don't bully. Violence is not discipline. Again, this is very challenging. Asians are known to basically sometimes punish our kids. Now, there's always two schools of thought. One say you can punish, one say you should not punish. One say you can use rotan, one say you cannot use rotan. Depends where you come from, how you were raised. Okay, you can have a debate on it, you'll never end. But many of us, when we were younger, we also get rotan before. In my younger days in school, we all get rotan. Public caning was very common during my time. I'll stand up at the stage, the discipline master will take a cane and whack. But these days they don't do that anymore. Is it the right thing? We don't know. This is a Western thing that, you know, they say education of love, but does it work in our society? It works maybe in certain group of people. It may not work in another group of people. So it's always a very subjective thing. But whatever it is, how you discipline is a separate issue. How you punish them is a separate issue. But that should not fail us from doing our duty, that if our kids need to be disciplined, we have to discipline them. Okay? But do not resort to violence. That's our suggestion. So now, do I punish my kids when they are young? Yes. My answer to you is yes. Now, I study psychology, and of course there are different psychologists disagree in their views in this. There's always these two schools of thought, whether you are behavioral schools or you are cognitive school. The one that the Jiaoyi talk about cognitive school. Sayang them, love them, talk to them. Sometimes you talk 10,000 times, it doesn't work well. You know, it depends on the nature of the case itself. So there's the other school which is called the behavioral school. The behavioral school talks about a stimulus response. You know, and for me, my view is this. This is just my view. You don't have to agree with me. When they were young, maybe primary schools and below, they were young. Their mental development is not that matured yet. Their cognitive side is not that matured. Their analytical ability is not that strong yet. You know, and their judgment of right and wrong is not that strong yet. I subscribe to the behavioral school when they were younger. That means stimulus response. Sometimes kids, when you punish them, they don't get what they want, then they know they should not do that. So that's at a younger age. But once they go into secondary years, physically they have grown up a little more. Intellectually they have also become more mature. Now, that behavioral approach, schools of approach, may not be working that well anymore. Okay? So you have to apply the cognitive, start to sit down and reason with them, talk to them, analyze, rationalize with them and things like that. It works better when they are teenage years and above. Unfortunately, a lot of parents today do the reverse. They try to be very nice to them when they're young, sayang here, sayang there, everything sayang, do wrong to sayang, will never take it. And then, when they go to secondary years, we find that by that time, most of their behaviors and characters are well formed, almost well formed already. And then, you don't quite like the way they think, and you start to be hard with them. That's the time you try to be hard with them, that's the time they also get more rebellious with you. So a lot of us do the reverse. You know, when they're young, they say, oh, it's too young, oh, you're pitiful, let's not punish them. You know, because they're young, we say, hey, still, you don't know. You know, and then we do the reverse. So sometimes it may not work that way. For me, I found the other way works better. So when they're young, if we need to teach them some things, we have to do that. But when they grow into secondary years, don't lay your hands on them anymore in terms of spanking them or punish them, whatever it is. You have to sit down and have a conversation. It works most of the time. So again, that's just my opinion. So most of my kids, after they have, all my kids after they've gone to secondary years, we don't punish them in that sense anymore. So a lot of time I have to sit down. So I have to learn a different skill like counseling them, coaching them, sitting down, having that conversation with them. And sometimes I have to pull them out and have a chat. They have to do that. Because by then their ego are also a lot more, they are more aware of their own ego. So you have to manage their ego a lot more. Next one. Sorry. Show respect, no matter how young they have egos, respect must be earned. good parents, we have to earn their respect, but we wouldn't know until they grow up. Some of these things you wouldn't know how you will turn out to be, whether you're a good parent or not until they grow up. Sometimes you wouldn't know, not until they get married and they have their own family. Then they start to see, wow, my daddy is a good daddy. But now you try to tell them, so you're a good daddy, they say, yeah, daddy, please lah, give me a break. They'll tell you that. So it's okay. That's part of the growing years. Now, four more points before I remember that they remember the simplest thing in life. Moment shares are moments they remember most. Children remember you most not because you buy them an iPad, not because you bring them to some nice holiday. Maybe they will remember the holiday, but for me, occasionally I get this feedback from my daughter. It says, "Daddy, long time we have not taken a walk around the housing areas after we have makan." I get that kind of comments from my kids sometimes. I said, okay. She remembered that little thing I did with her. Bring her just for a walk around the Dhamma area after makan. And so sometimes they remember small things like that. And these are the things that they treasure most, to be honest. Not the sophisticated, expensive thing you buy for them. And today, many of the expensive things and then you buy for them, after a while, it's like a new toy and an old toy. They just forget about it, they want different things. So, now, the other thing is, all challenges shall pass. Be patient, don't lose sight and hope. This one, I can tell you from my experience, like I said, my second daughter is the most challenging daughter because she easily manipulated. And remember I told you the shock I got when she brought her friend back and things like that. And we were so worried because every time when you give her a handphone, there are other conversations she had with outside people. We don't even know who they are. And when you look at the conversation and the SMS that she sent, you're just scared. And these days you wouldn't know whether your daughter will follow people run away from home or not. You wouldn't know. So my second daughter gave me that kind of problem that I had. But me and my wife, we have a common agreement here that don't lose patience with her. Whichever son or daughter had problem at that point in time, you should zoom into them. Don't lose sight of them, and then don't lose hope. So we were confident that the years that we spent the time sending them to Sunday school with the values that they have and with the good value that you have will together pull through that difficult times. And true enough, my second daughter now is in a college, universities. So she has passed through that difficult stage. But in her early secondary years, we went through quite a terrible time.